So for Deshaun Watson to actually go into a press conference when he was asked about running the ball and then say he's not a running back and that the Cleveland Browns organization actually just pays him to drop back to pass and figure out what the defenses are doing and ultimately make the right decisions, that is certainly not happening. Cleveland is absolutely being 100% fleeced by the bank robber that is Deshaun Watson.
I'm not trying. If I don't have to run, I'm not going to run. So I'm not trying to take any hits.
What does that run?
Because I'm not a running quarterback in a sense. I can make things happen, but I'm not trying to run. I'm not a running back. It's not my specialties. You know, they signed me to throw the ball, make decisions, and be a quarterback, not a runner.
So one of my all-time favorite bands is Linkin Park, who is actually in the midst of a tour with a brand new singer in Emily Armstrong. I bring this up today as we begin this discussion about Deshaun Watson simply to say there's a line in one of their songs, "In the end, it doesn't matter." And I think when we think about Deshaun Watson as a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, like a lot of other quarterbacks before him in Cleveland, in the end, it just doesn't matter. I am just saying, look, to say that the Cleveland Browns have been absolutely ripped off would be a bit of an understatement. I said this a couple weeks ago, but Deshaun Watson walks into a bank. He robs the bank for $230 million, doesn't even wear a mask, walks out and gets in his $400,000 SUV and drives off without a police chase. That is exactly what has happened to the Cleveland Browns and Kevin Stefanski at this point. When will Kevin Stefanski, the two-time coach of the year, actually turn around and finally do the right thing? Now, if you're wondering what that is, Spike Lee, in this particular case, that actually means benching Deshaun Watson. I know he's getting his $230 million guaranteed, but at the end of the day, when you actually look at the Deshaun Watson stats, since he's actually joined your Cleveland Browns organization, he is last in QBR. So far this season, he has a quarterback rating of 71.4. He's 3-2, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and apparently is refusing to change the way he actually plays. The soundbite that we played at the beginning of this video should tell you everything you need to know about Deshaun Watson, not the man, but Deshaun Watson, the actual football player. Somebody who is not willing to actually change, despite the fact that it is absolutely clear, and the stats certainly back this up, that Deshaun Watson actually does need to change his game significantly if he's going to succeed in today's modern National Football League. Look, if you are a girl and you happen to be dating somebody like Deshaun Watson, is he really the person you want to bring home to mom? I mean, with all of the off-the-field issues that he's had and the most recent lawsuit that just kicked in recently, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were more. I heard the most ridiculous thing on sports radio the other day. And certainly, as you all know, there's a lot of ridiculous things actually said on sports radio. But this particular person, and I'm not going to say who it was, actually claimed that the Cleveland Browns did not know about Deshaun Watson's off-the-field issues before he actually was signed, which is, of course, absolutely false and absolutely ridiculous. That's like actually saying to somebody you can walk into a McDonald's and still find a value menu. Last time I drove to McDonald's, I was like, oh, what's the value menu? And the value menu now starts not at $1, but at $5.99, at least here in Marin County. Look, at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson has been and probably will continue to be an absolute disappointment for the Cleveland Browns organization. which leads me to the big question: when will Kevin Stefanski actually finally make the move and bench Deshaun Watson? Now, it's not like I'm a huge Cleveland Browns fan, but I am a big fan of good football, and I hate actually seeing bad football played, especially when you have other options. Look, Dorian Thompson-Robinson would do a better job, and he's third string at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns right now. Jameis Winston at least has some life in him. At least he's a motivator. At least he actually appears to really care about the Cleveland Browns or organization, or for that matter, any football team that Jameis actually plays for. Sure, Jameis has had his off-the-field issues, but those are way in the past at this point. And at this point, it's safe to say, yeah, Jameis is probably going to throw a couple picks, but at least he's going to scramble a little bit. At least he's going to show some actual life on the football field, which is something we haven't seen Deshaun Watson do. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was hanging out with my wife, and we were watching a show on Netflix. We were watching one of these real estate shows on Netflix. So as we were watching, suddenly there was a Deshaun Watson appearance, which I believe was his girlfriend or fiance, as they were taking a look at $1 million houses in Los Angeles. I immediately paused the TV to tell my wife, "Oh my God, that is Deshaun Watson." And she's like, "Who's Deshaun Watson?" So I told her the Deshaun Watson story. You know, how great he was as a quarterback with the Houston Texans, and then all of the off the field issues that he ended up having. And then I told her, then he ended up basically getting suspended, but then he got the first and only at the time guaranteed National Football League contract worth $230 million to join the Cleveland Browns. And my wife at that point was astonished, stunned. Why would an organization actually do that with all of the off-the-field issues? Forget about the on-the-field play. It's the off-the-field issues that would, in many cases, probably cause you to not guarantee a $230 million contract. I would assume you would put some clauses in there for off-the-court issues as well. But this is the Cleveland Browns organization we are actually talking about, North America. And if you're like me, you probably realize that the Cleveland Browns organization has had, 20 quarterbacks over the last 20 years. There's been very little QB consistency since Bernie Kosar was their quarterback. Look, at the end of the day, maybe Deshaun Watson has turned his life around off the field. And for that, certainly I commend him for that. But on the field, he absolutely is basically like watching paint going up on a wall. He has turned the position of quarterback into something that is absolutely 100% boring. And once again, if you are the Cleveland Browns organization, why wouldn't you make a change at this point? How much more proof in the pudding do you need, Kevin Stefanski? I am just saying, in his 3 years with the Cleveland Browns, in year number 1, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks, 1,102 yards passing. In year 2, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, 1,115 yards. And we're seeing a lot of the same so far this year. In fact, I'd say it's even worse, with his quarterback rating currently being at 71.4%. So for Deshaun Watson to actually go into a press conference when he was asked about running the ball and then say he's not a running back, and that the Cleveland Browns organization actually just pays him to drop back to pass and figure out what the defenses are doing and ultimately make the right decisions, that is certainly not happening. Cleveland is absolutely being 100% fleeced by the bank robber that is Deshaun Watson. All right, North America, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this particular topic. Please go ahead and drop your comments in. That's a total rant. For the Underrated Pod, I am Dave DeBall, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. To the cool new music we go.
This is Phoenix.